All right, it's time to go live once again. It's time to go live on one. Yeah. Okay. Are we all set? I believe we are. Okay, fabulous. Hello and welcome. It's time for One on One. My name is Titilayo Oyinsan. It's a pleasure to be back online with you. And today is the day where we get to have a really interesting conversation. If you're tuning in for the first time, we go live on Instagram, live on YouTube, live on LinkedIn, live on X. We also go live on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and in fact, wherever you get your podcasts. And one on one is going to be talking about the payment systems in Africa today. Now, Africa is home to some of the most dynamic and rapidly evolving payment landscapes in the world, but it also faces unique challenges that can hinder economic growth, financial inclusion, and from technological barriers to regulatory issues, complexities, the need for cross border payment solutions. You know what, the obstacles are so many. But then again, so are the opportunities. This is One on One. It's a podcast, and my name is Titilayo Oyinsan. Helping us do this deep dive into this essential topic on shaping the future of finance across the continent, we will be having today Mr. Kabir Shittu. He is the co-founder of Sudo Africa. He's also the MD of Safe Haven MFB. Now, when it comes to Mr. Shittu, let me just give you a little information about him. Now, Sudo Africa, a fintech platform specializing in providing comprehensive infrastructure for card issuance and programming to financial and corporate institutions. He has over 12 years of experience in this, and he brings a wealth of expertise as a seasoned business manager. His professional journey is marked by an amazing, impressive track record in driving business development and fostering sustainable growth, as well as crafting strategic initiatives within the fintech sector. It is, of course, a pleasure having him here with us, and we are so grateful he could take out time to join us. A very good evening to you, Mr. Kabir Shittu. Welcome.
Hi, hello Titi, how are you? Hello everyone watching and listening. Good evening. Thank you for having me.
All right. So I know that you are a very busy man, and the fact that you were available this evening is it's worth so much to us. Thanks so much for joining us. The topic today, payment systems in Africa. Huh. I know how many issues I've had with bank alerts and reversals and doing online payments and all that stuff. And the average Nigerian, I don't think there's any Nigerian who hasn't been through some challenge or the other when it comes to banking and payment systems. Please give us a brief overview of what the actual situation is. What is the landscape like? What is the current state of payment systems in Africa right now?
Thank you very much, Titi. Um, Viewers, thank you. How are you today? Payment system in Africa um, is actually fragmented, and I say this because even the uh, major countries, say Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, and say Ghana, have different system entirely. So it's a little bit hard for you to say, okay, I want to do the same thing I have in Nigeria. I want to replicate it in South Africa, or you want to do that in Kenya, or you want to do that in Ghana, for instance. So if you look at generally the way we are fragmented. But there's one thing that I've actually noticed is that individually, say like in Nigeria, you have one of the best banking or payment system you can ever have. In fact, ours is like the likes of US use Nigeria as like a case study for payment and banking system. If you go to Kenya, they have their own unique payment system, which actually work for them. Go to South Africa, the same thing. So South Africa is a bit close to what we have in the advanced countries, say like in the US or in the UK. Ghana has its own unique payment system. But where the issue is now marrying those together to have in Africa. It would have been very nice if you have what they have in, say, in Europe, where you have all the country have almost similar payment system, and you can move cash around, you can move money around between one country and the other. But individually, when you look at it, if I come down to Nigeria, Nigeria has one of the best payment system. Um, I remember sometimes ago, what we used to look at is that technology is what affects payment system in Nigeria. But along the line, we realized technology has nothing to do with it. Our major issue moved towards regulatory than technology. All right. To an extent, you can't fault the regulators for keeping those regulations, but on the other hand, those regulations are still too stiff for us to actually progress.
Mm,
Yes, earlier I said Nigeria has one of the best payment system, but we can still do more and we can still do better if the fintech space in Nigeria liberalize. So what we have now is that you have people from the bank trying to lobby CBN not to allow, say, fintech to do a lot of things. But if those will be allowed, a lot of things will be open. Say, financial inclusion will be like a simple thing. Currently, now most of the people that even deploy financial inclusion in the rural area are actually doing it illegally. What I mean illegally is that probably they don't have the right license to do it. They probably are just doing it, or they have to partner with a commercial bank or another microfinance bank who has the license. But if those things can be liberalized, it will help. So let me give you a case in point. If you go to Kenya, for instance, now M-Pesa is what they use. M-Pesa is driven by telecoms. In Nigeria, the CBN do not allow the telecoms to drive the mobile money. So in that case, what that has done is that irrespective of what phone you use, you can actually transfer money, irrespective of where you are, with just USSD. You don't need data. You can do transfers and you can do financial transactions. So currently, that's the state where we are in Africa.
mm, mm. So this is a big conversation, but if we take it from the very beginning, if we try and break it down, give a blow by blow of the key challenges that are the most obvious, let's see what you believe the solutions might also be. So let's address the key challenges facing payment systems right now. Of course, there are different payment systems across Africa, but let's use Nigeria as the case study presently.
Okay, so I'll break down the first problem that a lot of say small players have is license, which is a very big challenge. And the reason why is there is everybody wants to get a license, but currently now, if this easiest, the smallest fintech license you can obtain will require you to have 100 million naira as capital base. How many fintech, how many startup can raise that? That's a very tall order. So on the regulatory part, what we emphasized before was we'll have like a tier system, which will allow small players to come in, say $10, 20 million, 25 million to start with. With that, I'm not saying that is still not big, but it might be a lot easier for people to raise that kind of fund than raising 100 million naira. So one of the major challenge that payment system have that gives a barrier for small players coming in is actually the financial side, which the problem comes from the regulator. The second part is trust. Now, Nigeria has always been a cash system, meaning Alhaji Musa in Kano, who sells what's it called, 10 trailers of spaghetti, still prefer to collect cash rather than uh, accepting transfer into his bank. It's not his fault. Someone probably has defrauded him by sending him a fake alert, and he says that I would rather take my cash and take it to the bank. And this, what I'm telling you now, I'm telling you a live, what's it called, live situation that is actually happening in some of the rural area. they would rather prefer to carry cash. Even if they're going to take the cash to bank, they would rather prefer to carry cash than to go to bank. And all this affects the payment environment because you have a lot of funds outside than you have in the system. That's the second one. The third one is um, most of this fintech that come up, most of these players that come up, just look at what somebody has done and has excel. Nobody is actually, a lot of us are not challenging ourselves to say what what is not available in the payment system. So everyone wants to be Paystack, everyone wants to be Flutterwave. So what are there we have several areas in the payment system that are not being annexed currently now. Okay, I'll give you an example of my own company, Sudo. My previous startup is called Payants. We just help freelancers to collect funds, and sometimes in 2017 we decided to build an app that will allow people connect their uh, all their banking services into one platform. Then we'll give you one single card. Probably if I ask you now, Titi, you probably have like four bank accounts, and you have ATM card for all those banks. So how will it look like if I give you one single card that is connected to that card? But we
Interesting.
tried to get a bank to, because InterSwitch was not listening to us to give us access to VAB. MasterCard wasn't, Visa wasn't. So we needed a system that will allow us to generate one single card and give you. Then 2020 came, between 2017 to 2020, 2019, we weren't able to do anything. So in 2020, thanks to COVID, where we are at home, we just decided, okay, so why not we build this infrastructure from ground up? Because what people needed is like a license to be able to issue the card. Then we will provide that. And that's the reason why we had to buy the microfinance to be like our issuing partner. While what Sudo does is just to provide the infrastructure that allow a small financial institution or microfinance bank to come on board easily. Now, to connect to, say, InterSwitch, to connect with Visa, to connect to MasterCard, might take you up to 18 months to do that. But with Sudo, you can do that under 1 week. Like, if
Okay.
so long as you have the technical capability, you can come on board and issue card under a week. So why did I put this story out is that we don't challenge ourselves. Most of the players that are coming on board, we don't challenge ourselves to say, okay, what part of the payment system is still lacking right now that we can actually connect to. So what people just do is, oh, what has worked? Paystack has worked. I want to do a payment, which at the long run might probably fail. And that has been one of the challenges that we have in the last 2 3 years, where you see startup come, they raise fund, but because they could not have product fit, you're already doing something that someone has done it better. So a lot of people might not come on board with you, and you can't uh, you can't have product fit with that one. You don't have revenue, and you have to shut down. To an extent, we've noticed that for the few players that are there now, so we have the commercial bank. By commercial bank now, I'm talking of both the merchant bank, mortgage bank in one form. Then we have the microfinance bank. So that's where we have the likes of Save Ever Microfinance, the likes of Money Point Microfinance, the likes of Kuda, the likes of OP on that. Then we now have the so let me put PSB together with us. Then we have the likes of say Paystack, the likes of Flutterwave, and the rest who are uh, they are not allowed to hold funds, but they still do payment transaction. And at long run, this is how it's going to be. Maybe in the nearest future, we see a lot of startups coming together to match together. When probably I noticed you have a good technical skills, but you don't have customers. So come, let's do it together. So those are the three challenges I feel we are currently having. Regulator, not like dancing to the fintech tune. Like they are much more supporting the commercial bank than they do for us, because why do you have to have a license that will have require me to have 100 million? A startup cannot raise that. Then we have the trust that we are still battling with
Mm.
fraudulent transaction on a daily basis. Yes, we are working on. There have been synergy in the system whereby we share information to say, okay, if we notice somebody has done something fraudulent, you can always share it with others to say, okay, this person, blacklist him on this. And I know NIPS have such thing too. Then the last one is the fact that we are not actually challenging ourselves to look at, okay, what area of this payment system has somebody not done anything? So let me go into it. Everybody just want to, oh, this person has done this and it worked. Let me go into it.
Interesting, interesting. Thank you so much for that. I have to also bring it into challenges for the everyday user, the everyday consumer now, because you asked the question, why is it that everyone coming into the space wants to do what has worked, what other people have been able to do? Because it's assumed that these platforms are addressing a particular need, and it does feel like there are still a lot of people that need that service. So it feels like the market is huge. And even though these major players have already taken a large part of the market, it seems like there's still a lot of people that need these services. I'm wondering about the everyday SME owner, the one that owns a small pharmacy, the one that owns a small hairdressing salon. They also have day-to-day challenges with banking, and those issues sort of requires them to feel more included, financial inclusion, I believe, when it comes to these payment systems. I know that you have a platform, well, two platforms that you work with. What have you and your team done to make sure that you are catering to the little guy?
So, like I said in the earlier, Sudo cater for those financial institution, fintech that will want to issue card, while Save Everyone is more or less like a banking as a service. So, what we've been able to do is we realize one of the challenges that other fintech has is license issue. So we have the license, we just extend the service to them and they can consume it via API. So it will look like you are actually providing a banking service riding on Saveable. That's what we've done in the first instance. And the second instance is what we realized after buying this microfinance about 3 years ago is CBN were in our office like in the last 3 years, they've been in our office like 4 times to do audit. And one of the pertinent questions they ask is that, okay, you have funds. What are you doing with these funds? So, and according to microfinance regulation, you need to give up to 80% of your fund as loan, as a micro loan. So I'm not, my major concern is to service the SME, right? So right now on Save Haven, you can actually get loan up to 10 million, both overdraft and term loan to be paid between 6 and 10, 12 months. So we are
Okay.
like a bank for SME. Yes,
Okay.
when I'm in a bank, just run your account for maybe few weeks, bring your statement from other bank and we can assess you. If you assess you and we're sure that, okay, you'll be able to pay back, why not? We're going to uh, give you the loan without any issue. And I assure you for anybody that is interested, I assure them for that. The second part is we have an app which allow SMEs to collect funds. And you can actually do that from your phone. When I mean from your phone, you can actually collect card transaction from your phone. And it's not like you're going to compromise the card details. So you have a phone that has a tap and pay. You can tap it on your phone and collect payment. Somebody can do transfer. Somebody can do USSD. So what we've done is that to profile those channels that everybody will want to use, either USSD transfer or card payment, without you having to buy a terminal, which might be expensive for you. You have to buy a terminal, but you already have phone. All of us have a very big phone, though in this case, we're still working with Android phone. So you can use it and just tap and make payment. So the idea, what we're trying to do is to make things easy for everyone, irrespective of where you are. Are you in the down entrepreneur or the smallest entrepreneur, even just Jacob that is selling food somewhere can actually use that if he has a phone and an app. That's the purpose. So, and
Okay.
we believe one of the things that can actually make the economy grow is to provide credit. So to an extent, we actually give credit. And for individual, we do credit card to also allow you to get a credit card. We believe when there is enough loose cash, the possibility that there will be economy transactions, and that will help the Nigerian economy. And that is where we are coming into it.
All right. So let's talk about, you've mentioned quite a lot of regulations here. You mentioned the fact that as an MFB, about eight, you said 80% of what you have in-house
My
needs to be given out
yes,
as loans. Yes.
as loan, yes.
Okay, fantastic. So I know that there are different regulatory environments across Africa. Um, do you believe that we are taking, as a people, we're taking proper advantage of this fact that people need to be able to build their businesses by taking advantage of opportunities like what your platform is providing? And why is it, if it's not, why is it that you believe people, should I use the term, shy away from loans and the risk factors involved?
Okay, so we are not. I'll use the word. We are not actually taking the advantage. And now let me start from a typical person that has a business. You still find a lot of people that have a business still run their transaction via their personal account. That is one. So if I'm to approach a bank tomorrow to say I need a loan for my business, the first thing they will ask for is your statement of account on your business name, not your personal name. Yes, some might still look at it and say, okay, if the business is just, if you are the only promoter of the business, okay, let's look at his personal record and look at it. So that is one. So people are not really taking advantage of that, believe me. Then on the issue of credit, so we have issue with two issue with credit. I think for Africans generally, we always shy away from credit. And from my experience, I'll say it's two things. Some people look at it as um, they are belittled when they have to take credit. I don't know if that's the word I'm supposed to use, but like
A cultural thing.
it's
It's a
a
culture.
cultural thing. Why will I have to take credit, right? And I used to tell people that Dangote currently now probably have billions of billions of naira in his bank account. But if he needs to do a project now, he still approach bank to give him loan to do it. It's not shy. That is how business are run. You don't use your own money to do business.
Mm,
That's it's just like you like breaking like reducing the risk from you. I can decide to use my savings to do my business, and I can go to a bank, get money, and say, okay, I'm going to do this business. I will make 10 naira, and probably by the time I pay you 3 naira from the interest, I get 7 naira. What that does for you is that you are able to scale easily. So if I have say like 1 million, all my transaction will be within the 1 million. But I can approach a bank give me say like 3 million. He added to my business and I can grow with that business. But one thing I'm going to advise, if you're not sure of what business you're going to, please don't take a loan. That one
mm,
is the talk for another day. Then the last part is, and most especially for us that were in the north, um, northerners do not take loan that involve interest. No, not Northern. Muslims do not take a loan that will involve interest. And most of the loans that we've actually seen right now, it's just few banks that are doing Islamic banking, which allow for profit sharing, which is what Islam provide that you have to take if you need to take a loan. So a typical Muslim would not take a loan,
mm,
irrespective of what it is. So because of that, they just shy away from it. It's better I don't because even the banks, I'll be sincere with you, the banks that are running the Islamic banking now, by the time you go deep down what they do, it's still more of interest than profit because it is very hard to for me because this is how it's supposed to be. Titi approached me to say, I'm doing this business, give me 1 million, I'm going to make 100,000 from it. So from this 100,000, we agree and say, I will take 40,000 and you take 60,000. The question now becomes, how do I what's it called? How am I sure you will be truthful to tell me you actually make a profit of 10,000, 100? That's one. Then how do I track your sales? That's the trouble. And in profit sharing in Islamic banking,
okay.
if there is loss, we'll still take the loss together. So how am I sure you won't come back tomorrow and say, out of the 1 million you gave me, I've lost 200? 100,000 from it. So there are a lot of things about this. Can I trust the customer to come and give me the right information or not? Or how am I going to track whatever the customer is doing? So that's on the part of
Yeah.
religious side.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
might want
I
this.
have some comments coming in from Instagram Live here. I have a comment from Ola of Lagos. It says here, but eventually it's still your money that will be used to pay the loan back, assuming the purpose of the loan wasn't fulfilled. Not sure I see a significant interest in that. So I think the concept of credit and taking loans is not exactly clear. What are the key reasons or the best reasons, the most important reasons to take a loan, and why is it that people find it a struggle to pay back?
Okay, from my perspective as a microfinance bank promoter, I am concerned about two people. I'm concerned about the individual and I'm concerned about SMEs, that's a small business. Let me take from the individual perspective. If my salary, say for instance, is 200,000, right? And I'm able to access a loan from Save Haven, say like 500,000 to be paid back in 12 months. That gives me about 50,000 or 60,000 to be paid. So from my salary, I'll be able to pay 60,000. But what that 500 does for me is that it helps me to clear off a lot of bills that I might probably need to clear. We are
Okay.
in a system where you don't pay rent weekly or you don't pay rent monthly. We're in a system where everything you pay has to be yearly, even insurance, everything you pay in Nigeria has to be yearly. Now, the ability to be able to gather that money in one what's it called flow might not be easy, because what you need me to do is that when I take my 200,000 as salary, probably I need to create a savings account and put 60,000 every month till end of year to pay my rent. Who says one emergency will not come that will make me to pay? Then at the end of the year, I'll start fighting with my landlord. All right. So that's the reason why credit is actually okay. But like I said earlier, if you know there's no way for you to pay back, please don't do it, because it messes up a lot of things for you generally. Then on the part of SME, which I've mentioned earlier, I can have just one single shop. Probably I've contributed like 1 million naira, and I have one single shop that I'm just dealing with. Say, for instance, I'm selling drink or I'm selling water, right? But there's every possibility that if I get more money, I'll be able to expand, right? When I expand, what that means is that if I'm selling 1 million before and I'm making 10,000, when I expand with additional 3 million, for instance, that means if I assume that's 10,000 for 1 million, I'm making 40,000 now. That's what it means. And that is how you grow. I'm not saying people are not doing business with their personal finances or with their family money, but I assure you, when you have a proper bank and you have a proper information on what to do with your funds,
Mm.
you take credit and use it judiciously and return back the money. Most bank will give you money, and so long as you do well, will continue to give you that money or even increase it as you finish payment. For instance, now we're going to be doing a program with one of the federal government agencies, which there's about 110 billion naira for SMEs, strictly for SMEs and from youth. And
Okay.
so, anybody that is listening now, go to your bank, and mostly microfinance bank, go to your bank, talk to them. That you heard that there's a cluster-based loan which will be given. So how this loan work is that they want us to guide. So I can go to a village and get a mechanic. The whole of this mechanic, how do I give them money? You profile them to make sure they can actually pay. Check that they are not having any delinquency before. Then when you approve them, the federal government will disburse the fund to us and we disburse to them, and the interest is very small. I'm not going to announce it there, but when I mean very small that they are telling the microfinance not to even increase it by a bit. So that means it will be easier. It's just as if you are actually paying back what you are giving. When I mean very minute, you will not even feel as if you are
Mm.
making payment. Yes, I know a lot of people have reservation when it comes to loan, but sincerely speaking, I know a lot of people that loan as help, right? One of the businesses that started in the early stage was funded by UWIN during Jonathan. I started a factory. Now, if I've started business before then, but what I do is just on the small part. But when I got that grant, luckily it was a grant. When I got it, what that does for me was I was able to buy a machine and set up a factory to do recycling myself,
Mm,
other than
mm,
just selling the products to those who do the recycling. So we are in a system where there's no grant currently now. The only thing we can rest on is either credit
yeah.
or your family finances, which is not forthcoming right now. So if you have a loan that you can actually do business with and you are very sure of your business, I will advise you to take it. Just make sure you get the right information, you get the right mentorship if you need it to do
Okay.
the business.
So I have to, at this point, I have to touch on the situation with the loan sharks. Another comment has come through, essentially talking about this. I was going to actually go there because there have been quite a lot of companies who had that whole phone call messaging system trying to retrieve funds from here, there, and everywhere. Ola Lagos says here, let's talk about the fact that it feels like CBN is literally allowing every Tom, Dick, and Harry to start up loan sharks. He says,
Yeah.
or she says. I'm not sure if it's a lady or a gentleman here. Um, Sometimes it seems like they are running scams. It does feel like they sell you a dream of using these funds for great things, and then the whole dream turns to a nightmare when they're calling you 4 or 5 times a month to remind you. And then after they reminded you and you've paid, they call you back to now say you can get more. Ah. So where do you stand on this particular matter? Because yes, in the end, we are serving, trying to fill a gap, serving a need.
Yeah.
But what's your opinion on how that has been going?
Okay, I'm not, what's it called, like supporting CBN on this, but I must assure you, CBN does not have hand in this. And I'll tell you two things. So CBN, the way CBN work is that so long as you don't have license with CBN, CBN cannot come after you. All right. So say for instance, if you have a mobile app running currently now, and it has is giving out loan or is doing something that has to do with under the purview of CBN. If the CBN do not give you license, they are not going to come to you. But this is what they will try to come after the people that are providing banking service for you. Because if I have to open an account for you now, I'm expected to know you. So there's
Mm,
something we call know your customer. So when I mean know you, it's not just knowing you, knowing your house by
mm,
you giving me utility bill. I need to know what business are you doing? What are the what's it called? The businesses you are providing for the outside world. So if me, for instance, if a loan company come to say, I want to use your service, say a wallet system to collect money now, I'm expected to know if he's giving out loan, there should be a license that is allowing to
mm.
give out those loan. Now, I'll not tell you what, because a lot of things, what people do is to look for a loophole. There are other licenses that allow people to give out loan. So if
Okay.
I have a cooperative society license, that license can be getting from any local government within Nigeria. If you walk into a local government, they'll give you that license to say you can be a cooperative. Now, a cooperative is allowed to give out loan to the members. So some of the loophole that some of these people are using is that okay, anybody that come on the platform becomes a member. So what they are doing is extending loan. But this is where you will know if a loan is right for you or not. Imagine taking a loan that is charging you between 30 to 45% a month. So I said, I don't have money. I need money. You're giving me, say, a 10,000 and you're telling me I'm paying back 13,000.
Wow.
That's already, I'm putting a, what's it called, on your head to say, you have to struggle. All right.
Mm,
Second part is if an app is asking you to give them the permission to collect all your information, the people you chat with, the people you send SMS with, your contact, your picture, right? You should know that that is a red flag for you. Let me
okay.
not even say my own company. I don't think a CUDA will ask you to provide, to allow them to take all the information on your phone because they want to extend you a banking service. So with that, you shouldn't. Yes, I will be sincere with you to say, even those of us that have the license have not really done much in providing credit to everyone. And it is not really my fault. I'll put it this way: the funds I have are depositors' funds. I need to be sure that if I extend this credit to you, you'll be able to pay back. That is my first thing. Okay, I'm giving you loan. It's not me having 200 million naira as depositors' funds and I'm able to disburse 150 million naira in credit. The major thing is me recovering that funds back. So if I cannot have my duty, missing my duty, and to come for me. So I need to be sure. And this is where it gets tricky. And I'll give you a typical example. In the US, for anything you are doing in the US, you have to provide your SSN, which is supposed to be our NIN in Nigeria, right? Even if you have to rent a house. So imagine if someone has taken loan from Kuda, has taken loan from GT Bank, has taken from Save Heaven, and it didn't pay back. And this record has been placed on his or her NIN. And that person goes to do any service, or you just go to rent a house. What they just need to do is to call on that person's NIN to check. Oh, this person is owing everybody. Nobody wants to give you a house. But because the information that we have, we are not really using it. I'm talking of Nigeria as a whole now. If NIN can be made such that for any service you need to get in Nigeria, you need NIN. So you want to rent a car, you need NIN. You want to buy a car simply because you are not paying at once, you need NIN. Anything you need to do with that, it will be a lot easier. It will deter people from collecting credit without paying. I
Okay.
used to tell my team, there are people that will just take loan, and as they are taking it, they know they are not going to pay because they know there's no way. Even if you know where they are, there is no way to hold them responsible for it.
So I know that this particular topic can take us on another tangent, but I want to bring us back because we are pushing it far on time here.
Yeah.
Um, there is a question of the literacy factor we've not really addressed. Based on the population we have now, the age group I saw on the website there, Gen Z banking. But I also would just want you to, as quickly as possible, wrap it up for us today, giving us your thoughts on the future trends when it comes to payment systems across Africa, and how you and your platform are positioning yourselves to adapt to these trends.
Okay. To an extent, I'll be sincere with you. If I have to compare Nigeria with some of the American countries or even European countries, we're actually far ahead of them. I think country like China, say Indonesia's, those in the Asian country, those are the ones that I would say are actually beating Nigeria or other African countries to it, sincerely speaking. So in payment, I'm not actually seeing any new thing coming in other than we until when we are able to fix our identity. So currently now, in the last 1 week, I've been having issue on onboarding because everything we do on Save Haven, for instance, now is an auto is automated. So I don't need you to come to fill a form to say you want to open an account. When you come on my platform, I don't need you to start writing your name, your full name, your address. I need you to just provide me with that with your BVN or NI. But what I've noticed with Nigerians is that a lot of people have a phone number on their BVN or NIN that they don't use again or they don't even have access to it again.
Wow.
It doesn't take you anything to go to your bank, 5 minutes, fill a form, and change your details. Because a lot of people are finding it very hard to even do some other things. You want to say train now from Abuja to Kaduna, you need to provide your NIN. If you don't have your number, you won't be able to get a ticket. The same thing
Wow.
with when you go to get your international passport. So until when we fix the identity issue, by the time we fix the identity issue, we cannot be talking about fixed payment. So I can go into a restaurant and just do a face and the payment and my account is debited and I go away. The same thing on the government side. There are a lot of things that government is supposed to make money from that they cannot make money from because the payment is not because of this identity issue. So until when we are able to fix our identity issue, What we need to achieve right now in payment, I will tell you, has been achieved. Like you can go online, make payment either with transfer. In the beginning, it used to be just with card. But okay, you're afraid to put your card. Then they can generate an account number for you and you do it. Or they generate a USSD street for you and you do it on your own without compromising your card detail. So a lot of those things have been achieved. But right now, we need to fix our identity. Until when that identity is fixed, before we can get to the level of what, say, China has achieved in terms of payment, or what other countries like Indonesia have achieved. But if we have to compare ourselves with, say, Europeans, the only thing I think we have that Europeans have is that we can actually do transfer in a minute and it gets to you. Then Africa needs to come. We need, in the whole of Africa, we need to have an harmonization. For the few uh, app that allow you to do, say, a transaction between Nigeria and Ghana, will probably do a USD. So that means you're transferring Naira to a USD, then a USD back to Ghana cedi, which is not scalable. In fact, it's actually affecting African trade on this. It would have been easier if I can transfer Naira to from here and somebody in Ghana will get what's it called, Ghana cedi. But like we said earlier, regulation does not permit a whole lot of this. We're in Ghana to set up our company, and the first thing is that to set as an international company, you need to bring in 500,000. Good, okay, $500,000. I mean, good, okay, we are coming with 500,000. Okay, CBN, we need license. That's the central bank. We need license. Oh, you need a Ghanaian to be
On the
a director. Yeah, and that Ghanaian has to own like a 30% of the company.
wow.
Building my business, or where will I get a Ghanaian to do? So until when we're able to solve all this, before payment across Africa will be smooth. But while in Nigeria, we need to fix our identity. If you fix our identity, a lot of things will be achieved from that.
I have to say a big thank you to you for joining us today on this particular topic. Now, if you're just tuning in, you have been listening and watching One on One. My name is Titilayo Oyinsan. We have Mr. Kabir Shittu here, the co-founder of Sudo Africa and MD of Safe Haven MFB. Topic today has been an interesting one. I wish we had more time to continue, and maybe we should do a second episode to maybe keep it going sometime soon when
No,
you can find time for us, boss.
no
But
problem.
yeah, Africa is home to some of the most dynamic and rapidly evolving payment landscapes in the world. And this is no joke. We face some of the most unique challenges that are, in a sense, hindering our economic growth, and issues with literacy, issues with regulatory complexities, issues with financial inclusion, all this boiled together. But there is still a light at the end of the tunnel. There is still hope. There are still platforms like yours who are trying to find solutions every day. Thank you very much, boss.
Thank you, Titi. Yeah. And thank you, everyone, for joining.
All right, then. Now, thank you so much for watching. If you would like to join us on One, join the conversation right now. Just subscribe, follow, hit the notification bell if you're watching on YouTube, and make sure you follow this particular channel on whatever platform you are watching or listening to us from. We, of course, are open to having conversations with you ourselves. Please just send an email to dynamitepodcastnetwork@gmail.com. That's Dynamite Podcast Network at gmail.com, and we will get back to you. Once again, my name is